Hi guys, this is Shane from the GSI family. I'm from the GSI West Yorkshire side, and I will warn you now, I've got a very bad cough. So at any point, if I do start having a coughing fit, I will try to mute the mic and let Neil take over when I bring him in. So I do apologise in advance. I will try my best to just talk quite soft and not laugh too much. But there we go. So I'll just hit the magic button, and I'll be joined by Neil Cook, the spirit medium from the GSI Northeast side of things. There we go. Hi, Neil.
Good evening, guys. Good evening, Shane. A warm welcome to our live feed channel again, or our live feed little giggle. We're talking anything paranormal. Any questions you may ask, we'll try and answer. Anything you want to ask about, or even we'll ask you questions as well. See if we can do the question and answers and things. Shane's got a poorly sore throat. So if he gets into a fit like he said with a coffin, then I'll try and take over and ad-lib for him. If you catch me looking up here, it's because I've got my big screen on up here. I've yet to find a location where I can get comfortable and talk to you guys and watch the questions and our good friends following us on the feeds to give them a shout out. So you'll have to excuse the white of my eyes like that.
Yeah, same for me as well. My TV's over there, what's got the live stream on, so I can see what's happening. Because all I can see is my laptop screen with what I've got on. Like at the minute, I can see Alice Box. You guys can't till I hit the software to make that screen pop up. So I have to watch the TV over there. But yeah, hello, Cameron. Nice to see you watching us already before we even started this time. Yeah, Alice Box has got a few words up as well, so I'll just change the screen mode over, and then we'll probably get cracking with a few things. What's a bit of an update? So there we go. So as you're already aware, we've said a few times now, we're in association with alicebox.co.uk, and that's Alice Box in the background, what you can see, minus the two webcams, what's been superimposed over the top of it. And it's basically like an Ovilus really, but it's on your actual Windows based laptop or tab or whatever you want to use. And the website's there, as you can see, all the way along, and we've had some pretty good results with it, haven't we, Neil? Really?
Yes, we have. It's available free for a 30-day free trial. That means you can upload it, download it onto your laptop. Has to be a Microsoft Windows-based platform. You can download it for 30 days free of charge. Like I've said before, you can use it on your investigations within the 30 days. You can have people over and do your spooky things towards Halloween and use it then. If you like it like we did, then obviously you can purchase the code, and then that would make that copy an indefinite copy. But yes, it's a lot of people said on the last live feeds, the actual words which were coming back from the Alice box were in correspondent to what we were saying anyway. So some of the things we mentioned, it also duplicated them words, which was quite good. We didn't get to see that until on playback, but yes, there was some good connections there with what we were talking about and what was being produced by the Alice box. So if you can, guys, if you can watch that as well as our good selves, then we'll see if there's anything there. We've got other people sat, I don't know why I pointed upstairs, I live in a bungalow, but we've got other people sat behind me, just a joke. Other people sat behind me, and they're gonna monitor your comments and then shout out if we can participate in what you're asking.
Yeah. Hello, Catherine, as well. I think Vicky's already said hi on the feed. Sorry. Yeah, it said a few words: deliberate, computer, money, rescue, and stars. And rescue maybe came through at the point when you says you might have to rescue me and take over if I start having a coughing fit. Because it has actually said words literally at the same time as us saying them sometimes, and it's like, hey, this is weird. But yeah, there's two topics I'd personally like to cover tonight. Really, one of them, it's a bit personal, and to be honest, actually, I've been umming and ahhing really on whether to actually cover it, because I'm not sure if you've been following our journey right from the beginning, but I've not really been doing it nowhere near as long as what Neil's been doing it, and he's, as you know, he's a fully fledged very talented medium. But myself, since I've started opening up more, things have started happening that I can't really explain, and it just caused me quite a lot of confusion and a lot of frustration sometimes when I don't really understand what's happening. And I've seemed to have got used to when a negative spirit's around, because that just basically sends my whole body into the same feeling every single time. And then when other mediums pick up at the same time, yeah, it is a negative person, I seem to be able to associate that feeling with the negativity. Like my stomach turns, my hairs on my neck and head start tingling, all I go really just goosebumpy and weird, and I associate that with negative. I don't know if anyone else has a similar experience, and that they might associate that with something else, but every time that happens to me, it seems to be something pretty negative. But then there's been other things what's been happening, like one of the things the other day when I managed, Andrew Alexander, who's the other half of GSI West Yorkshire with myself, he came to the house, and for some reason, every time I was talking to him, I was just getting panda for some reason, just the animal panda, like an actual symbol, but it doesn't mean anything to me, and I just thought, this is just ridiculous. Whatever it is, just it's stupid. So I never said anything, and which goes against what Neil's been showing me, because he says just say what you see, a bit like Roy Walker in Catchphrase used to.
Catchphrase, Roy Walker. Well.
What's Mr. Chips doing now? But yeah, it basically goes against everything what I've been shown so far. But I didn't say anything. But then all of a sudden, I just decided to. Andrew, do you like animals? A bit. What about Chinese ones? And then at that point, that's when he got a bit funny. And says, I'm getting a panda, what does that mean? And then he went goosebumpy and explained that it was his childhood nickname, and a nickname what his father knew him as, and also throughout his army career. But it's not something I were ever aware of, and I actually thought he was winding me up. So he brought his private chat up on his own Facebook with his old army friends just to prove that that's what they call him. So it's very... I don't understand why. I don't understand who's telling me this. Why? What? It's just very confusing. But last night, it's been happening for a while, and I've had the buzzing in my ears, which I know Neil's just put a huge post out about signs from spirits, and basically, I've talked about this in the previous live stream when I was at the ropery. That was the first time this ever happened, and my ear goes a bit muffled, like I'm underwater. Then really high pitched buzzing. Not like when I went to see Def Leppard and I was stood too close to the stage. It's a bit
Barry
similar to
Manor.
that, but it's not really like that. But it is really high pitched and just quite annoying, to be honest, because Neil is able to take that to the next level, because he hears that in one ear, but then in his other ear, that's where he hears a spirit talking to him. But I'm not able to do that. I don't know whether I ever will be able to do that. And to be honest with you, this is my point in this conversation. I don't even really care if I ever can do that, because I just want it to go away and just leave me alone. And that's it's been upsetting me quite a bit. I was practically in tears last night speaking to Neil. A bit embarrassing, but I'm happy to actually admit this to you guys, because you might not understand. It might sound quite cool that you're able to do this, and it's very beneficial on an investigation, I can assure you of that. But at the point when you're starting to actually figure out what's actually happening and come to terms with it and understand what this sign actually means and what relevance it is, it's quite frustrating, and it does get you quite angry, and then you start worrying, because all I'm doing at the moment is, can you please leave me alone? I just want to go to sleep. I just want a bit of peace. Please leave me alone. And it's all I keep saying, and I'm thinking then, am I going to start angering these spirits because they want to talk to me, and I'm just telling them to go away? Am I going to start getting quite nasty? And then you've got all sorts of things going through your head. So this is probably now when I'll pass over to Neil, because he's gone through all this at age 11. So he basically knows exactly what I'm talking about, and this is where he's basically helping me out now. So I don't know if you can maybe explain in a bit more detail what's been happening, and it's just a bit weird, a bit emotional, to be honest.
Don't worry about it,
Yeah.
Shane. It's like you said, it is a little bit hard for you to deal with. We're going to work with this, Shane. We're going to get to the bottom of this, and obviously, if we can't fine tune it, then we'll take it away from you if that's possible. But what you have to remember, we're all born with that psychic gift. We all have that part of our brain which is open. Uh, Children have their imaginary friends, or do they? Are they physically connecting with spirit? As we start getting older and going through our youth and teenage years, this section of our brain starts to close up and we don't start using this psychic ability which is there. The thing we're only left with mainly is our intuition, and we all have it. We can all quite easily look at something, get that gut reaction, and decide yes or no whether to go with it. And obviously, this is your intuition. Sometimes this part of the brain reawakens. Any good medium, any good sensitive person will tell you this, and you can learn to work with this ability again and fine tune it. The screaming noise in your ear, the high pitched noise. Some doctor will sit there and say you've got tinnitus or labyrinthitis or something else, but a psychic person, someone who's spiritually connected, will say that this is your frequency coming in from spirit. It's out of sync. We have to learn to either slow it down or speed it up. My mum always said to me, the way to connect with spirit is if it will sound like it's muffled coming from underwater, and you have to bring that frequency in tune with our frequency, because we're talking with two different universes here, two different worlds we are, and we're just slightly out of sync, and we have to bring that conversation in. So it'll either be too slow and we have to get it to catch up, or it'll be too fast, very high pitch, and then we have to catch up or bring them both together and sync. Once that ability happens, then we're more likely to connect with our spirit guide on an audible sound. The clairaudient side of things will start coming through as a medium, as a psychic medium, and then we'll have the ability to communicate with spirit. Now, all mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums. And what I mean by that is a psychic person has the ability to talk to your clairvoyance and read to you about the foreseeable future and only the immediate future, where a psychic medium like myself has the ability not only to do that, but you will talk with spirit and connect with spirit and bring the loved ones through as well. So so not all psychics have the six senses, the clairs, what we call them, the clairsentious, clairaud. I can't even get the word out. Clairaudient, clairsentious, and all the other clairs as well. So yes, and you were picking up on early stages of this. Now, some people say to me, "I love what you do. I'd love to have that ability. How do I go about it?" A good friend of mine, Michael McIver, we're working with him now at the Spiritual Church. We're doing awareness classes, and we're trying to bring this ability out because it's there and it's there with everyone. So it's just trying to work with that and nature it and fine tune it. Now, some people may have similar things to what you have now, Shane, and but they'll never advance.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all developing at some point. In fact, we're all developing all the time. There's no level you can get to before you become a fully fledged medium. We're always developing. We're always learning something new. Now, you have to accept that this may not progress, and you may only have these fine senses, or it may progress in the near future, and you may become someone similar to like I am with regards to working with spirit. So, but there'll be 101 mediums out there who will come across this post and be able to give a big thumbs up to what I'm saying. Anyone else who's listening, our sensitive people, and we're all sensitive, we can all walk into a room and get that intuition. We can always tell when something's been going on in that room. The arguments, we always say you could cut the atmosphere with a knife. We want to know your thoughts on this as well. How many people are out there who are quite sensitive? And I know there is a lot of sensitive people tuning in now. I've seen the names popping up who I recognise, but there is some people who don't think they may have this ability. But there's certain things which they just can't put the finger on, things which are kind of spiritual, or things which they think they may have psychic links to. It could well be that way back in the family tree, your great grandmother or grandmother may have had that psychic ability. She may be in the fortune side of the mediumship or the clairvoyance, and things like that. But it'd be interesting to know who else have experienced what Shane's experienced at the moment, at this moment in time as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's to be honest, when I think back, because I'm 31 now, I always say I've never had anything until I got to 31. But when I do think about it, when I have been sat in work, even when I was in my 20s and things, my ears did go a bit funny sometimes. But then I just put it down to something else. I've just lost Neil through. 1 second, I'll just bring him back in.
I'm back again. I don't know where I went.
Yeah, your video is just loading back in. 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
It's Skype what we're using.
Spirit fear.
Yeah, it just seems to be a bit temperamental tonight. It's the second time that's happened. Yeah, you're back. Yeah, it's just something what's quite confusing at the minute, and so I know some people are pretty desperate for this to happen to them, and believe all I'll say to you is it's not all it's cracked up to be. I'm not saying it. If I was at the stage what Neil was at, then pretty bloody cool to be honest. But at the stage I'm at now, it's sometimes quite freaky and sometimes really confusing, frustrating. You get a bit angry, you get quite emotional and upset, and it doesn't help because I'm on a massive crash diet as well. So obviously my body's in shock with that to start with anyway. But
can we just tell our listeners how much weight you've lost, Shane, just to get a round of applause, please? I mean, you in such a short time. Can you just tell them your losses, please?
Okay, yeah, 16 pounds, so it's a stone and 2 pound. I don't know what that is in kilos, but it's just gone 3 weeks. Yes, on Tuesday. So obviously I've got a lot to go, but it's a start. It's a long.
But in your own time, mate, in your own time, and like you're saying, your body is trying to adapt with the lack of fats and the lack of sugars, and obviously that affects our mood, our well-being. You also the majority of your weight you lose, I'm led to believe, is a lot of water at the first start of it. So your chemical imbalance, and I'm no doctor, but I went through the similar thing myself. If you go back on my wall and have a look a couple of weeks back, you'll see a picture of me who was in a 44 waist pants, a triple XL shirt, and I weighed just over 21 stone 5 years ago, and within a space of time, and 5 years later, after getting to 15.5 stone and fitting into a 36 waist pants, I'm now, I think, 16 stone and about that much, and I'm still in a 36 waist pants. So it can be done, but it's like everything else. Like we're talking about mediumship, you can't rush this thing. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. If you're going to lose weight, you don't want to rush out there and crash diet like I did and make yourself ill. You have to do it the correct way and still eat the right gear as well at the same time. Regarding mediumship and people who are coming to us and saying, I would love to be at the level you're at now, the thing is, there's a lot of people just want a gift overnight, and I know Shane certainly doesn't, but it's something which will happen. If it's going to happen, it'll happen. And I always say to some of my readers, I read too, should I say, we're not conjurers. We people walk up to you and say, oh, what can you tell me? And if I'm out on the town working or something like that, then there's pretty not much, because I'm not a conjurer. I can't just pull Uncle Albert and Uncle Fred and Jack and everyone else out of the world. And there's probably 4 people on here now saying I can take him. But yeah, we can't just pull these people out of space and make that connection. You as a loved one to the person in spirit has to bring their energy with you. You have to be spending some time concentrating with them, carrying the pictures around. On the day you're going to go and see a medium, then then spend the day talking to this person, get the old photograph album out and rejoice, go through all their memories, build up that energy. And whether you go into a spiritual church to actually see a medium on a podium, or a medium's coming to yourself, then build up that energy beforehand. For me, that works a lot better than approaching someone randomly and then asking to read, because one, I then have to build up that energy from the person, the vibrations, before I can go ahead and read for them. So yeah, it's not as easy as what you normally see mediumship. There's a lot more to it than just bringing spirit through the ears.
Yeah. We've had a couple of questions. Hi Tara, by the way. That's not Tara, my wife's upstairs watching, but also Tara, one of her very good friends as well, which confuses people. And she's watching, and she did have a question which you've seemed to have used your psychic abilities to answer before I've even asked you the question. Because she's basically, I've told her quite a lot about what I've been doing, and when I told her about the phone call, what I've been getting, and it freaked out a bit. But does Neil have any messages for anybody watching this feed now? I've been told I'm very open. I've definitely experienced goosebumps, Shane, but it scares me too, so I avoid the feelings. So I, possibly without knowing her, and you don't know what she looks like, you don't really know anything about her, it's probably going to be pretty difficult because you can't pick up on what her energy is. But
yeah, we work on vibration, we work on energy, and when you go to a spiritual church or something similar, the first thing the medium will do is get you to speak back to them, because they'll want to pick up on this vibration. And if you've done all of the above, what I've just explained about carrying this person's energy with you, then they'll connect to your vibration, and then spirit will make that connection. And it's not always like a scene from Ghost where Whoopi Goldberg sat in that little shop window, and there's 101 spirits all stood there waiting to jump into her body. It doesn't work that way. Any person who's sensitive, and like you just said there, Tara, where you occasionally get the goosebumps, you think you're being watched, there's someone behind you. You have to remember, and I'm sick of saying this now, but I say it with the utmost respect. You have to remember, the only ever thing you'll deal with from spirit is what once walked on this earth. And the worst scenarios are negative, grumpy old man to your loved one being full of love and everything else. No, I don't. I'm trying to link in with you, but obviously I can't through Skype. But I'm aware. Let me see if I can do this. This is going to be probably vague from your end. I want to say, Tara, if you're listening still, if you can hear this, that you recently had an experience in your kitchen, which something spooked you out. Now, if it wasn't a physical pull or tug on your clothing, then it was something moving which you couldn't explain. But I'm aware of spirit being around you, and fortunately, I've seen your face. I've seen the video Shane once showed me where you're poking your tongue through his kitchen window or something. But
no, that's Sarah. That's Sarah. It's different.
Oh, that's Sarah.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
then. Right, I'm probably linking in with the wrong one then. I thought you said I'm thinking these two people are the same. But if I'm not, if I am right, then obviously you can answer that to what I've just said. But I think I've got the wrong link here, so I'm not going to go any further with that, because the vibration I had in my head was a different image to the actual person Shane's referring to. If you can accept that, then take it. But I think I've got the wrong link anyway, so I'll leave that there.
Yeah, Sarah's Tara's other mate, and
Right. Okay,
by the way, when the tongue through my window thing, she was absolutely drunk with my wife Tara. They'd just been to Leeds for the day. They came back, and that was the ordeal me and my friend Andy had to put up with for 10 minutes while they were outside of the house trying to unlock the door. And I, rather than going and helping, I just thought I'd record it.
Yep.
And then I sent the video to Neil. Quite funny. But yeah, so that's. Oh yeah, Philip
Let me
Ladd.
just give a shout out to my good friends, the Haunted Halos Paranormal Investigation group. It's a public group. It's on Facebook if you want to search that. The Haunted Halos Paranormal Investigation group. It's run by Cheryl, a good friend of mine. I'm going to be doing some work with Cheryl next year. She's going to be posting up some investigations she's going to do, and myself is excuse me, myself's going along as a guest medium. These are some guys you might want to have a look at. Pop along to their wall and give them a like and join. There's some good interaction on their wall at the moment. They're locally based in Teesside, so if we've got any people in the northeast of England area who are listening, then obviously these events you can go along to. You don't have far to travel, and they're an amazing bunch of people. Cheryl, I've worked with her before. We've had some interesting experiments and shenanigans in the Drakelow tunnels in Kidderminster, and we're going to go on to this subject shortly with regards to a very haunted portrait. But yeah, pop along, give me a shout out. I've seen a few more faces pop up. Martin Browell, good evening. If you haven't commented already, then I'm surprised. Who else did I see? Joanne Bunn, she popped up, didn't she? Jojo's just say hello, good evening. Catherine, we saw you pop up, good evening. People like Mags, if you're listening, Rob Gray, Vicky Hardy, she's listening, Vicky Richards, anyone else who's listening, Kieran, good evening, guys.
Yeah, brilliant. You've got a question, it's really aimed at you, because the only time I've ever heard a spirit talk is really through, I've ever had one word and I could interpret it pretty easily. It ended up being my friend's granddad, but all I heard was his name over and over and over again. And then I asked, what does Ted mean? And they said, oh yeah, Becky's granddad.
Edward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Ted, not Ed, but yeah.
Ted is short for Edward.
Oh, is it? Right. Okay. Yeah. I learnt something. Tara says that message wasn't for me, but I'm sure Shane will pass it on to Sarah. Great work, GSI. Love the live feeds. Thank you, Tara. But Philip Michael Large has basically asked, has there been any other times when you've not been able to understand what a spirit is saying, possibly due to the accent?
Yes. I use my spirit guide to interpret what's being said, and if I'm unable to hear clairaudient because of the environment I'm in or the well-being I'm in, then my spirit guide, who is this big guy on the wall here on his horse, Phil, the Texan cowboy, then he will interpret what's being said. Now, sometimes, and I was never a good speller at school, but sometimes things get shown to me symbolically, or they may get shown to me as names, but some of the people we work with in the paranormal world, in spirit, couldn't spell anyway. So when we're trying to ask them to spell out, or me personally talking to spirit, asking them to spell out the name, it can either be someone who was unable to spell, someone who may have had problems spelling and learning difficulties. So we then ask for something symbolic. Normally I do get a name or a partial name, and if they can't give me a full name, then I'll get the majority of the symbols which belong in the name. But yes, it does happen. Not everything comes through. Some of the spirits have been excited and they've rambled that much, then it's been inaudible, and even my spirit guide has been unable to, interpret what's been said as well. So sometimes you have to break the link. But the majority of the time, I make a good connection. We get a good feed from spirit. But yes, it does happen sometimes. This does happen quite a lot, actually.
Yeah, brilliant. And I would just also, it's just said why, Alice Box, but I think you answered pretty well to me. I understood it, so I won't ask you why. But I just also want to do a massive shout out, but it's not to actually someone who's living, it's to basically the guy who's sat behind Neil on the horse, because he's been my bodyguard over the last few months. Neil's literally sent him to my house once when I was getting them weird phone calls just to see what was happening.
Can we see him there?
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get him in the shot. There he is.
Thank you, Phil. I think last time I thanked him, Neil told me he tipped his hat to me, so I think we have a mutual understanding. We both like Neil very much. So also we both agree that Vicky gets on his nerves. I'm only kidding, Vicky. Yeah. Sorry.
when we're talking cowboy and we like each other very, very much, we're not talking Broken Back Mountain cowboy. We're just talking just a bond, fisty punches and shit. Yeah.
I'm doing it to the ring camera. I've got two webcams. I've got one what's going through Skype, what Neil
Yep.
can see, and I've got one what's in the top of my laptop screen, what you can see. So I'll point to both at the same time. Just because he wouldn't be able to see me, he'd just be able to hear me, and he likes to see my face, don't you?
Of course, every morning and every night just before I go to sleep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll bring up now. I'll just go onto the screen sharing so you can see what's on my laptop screen. There we go. Now, obviously, that's Alice Box, what you can see, the actual app, what I can move about. But I will just move it onto this. And rather than Neil sounding really, really vain, I'll just let you know he has got his actual fan page now set up, and it's very good. It's full of all his usual content, what you'll see from his Facebook personal page as well. So it's Neil Cook, the Spirit Medium Neil, if you search for that. But also it's linked on the GSI page on both ones, North East and West Yorkshire. And I'll just start to scroll through now, just so you guys can see it. And there's a pretty cool, really, really good video on there as well, which I'm not sure who. You've got some seriously good person working for you, Neil. Whoever made that video.
It was one of my bodge jobs. Are we talking? Oh, right. I'm with you now. Sorry, yeah. I thought we were on about the Drakelow tunnels.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm on about this one. Sorry, I'm just bragging a bit. It took me 8 hours to make it, and it's like 56 seconds long. That's it anyway, yeah. Go on to Facebook.com, and you'll be able to actually do this page live, and then keep today's videos, actual daily, really good. Yeah, so there's things on there.
I like to post a lot of words of wisdom out to an audience of 50 I may hit that day. 5 people can accept that word of wisdom or that quote or something like that. And I will say not all the quotes are mine. Obviously, I do share a lot of things as well. I'm not that knowledgeable, but I look, if I'm going to share something which obviously I'm struggling with my with writing, then I'll look for something which is going to be inspirational and it's going to hit a good audience, or should I say my audience. And the thing is, I never send a friend request out, I only accept them. So I'm hitting the right audience all the time. I'm only hitting the people who actually want to hear this kind of stuff. I do poetry, that's up on there. There's a few little poems as well which will make you giggle. I've just written 2 articles there because I've had a lot of questions coming in about how does spirit contact you? Do they contact you in the dream state? How do they do it? And obviously them are up there as well. And other things, how to connect to your guides as well. Simple 4-step ways of how to connect to your spirit guide as well. Good evening, Amanda Price, if you're listening. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. It is duplicated on the old wall, but the new stuff is mainly going up on there, and it would be nice before I merge it all over that if all my followers from the old page can get on here, then I can do that. My message box is always open. If you've got a question, then send me that. I may not answer it instantly, but I'll do my utmost best with respect to give you an answer. And if I can't, then I'll send you in the right direction. Or if I still can't, then I'll send you to a web page which may answer some of your questions. But I look forward. I don't do much now, so I'm at home. I can sit there all day long and talk to you. The housework won't get done, but never mind. It's for the love of spirit I'm doing it for.
Yeah, got 2 questions. I've just put Alice Box and our faces back on again now. But before we move on to a video I want to show people, which involves yourself and the most haunted painting in the world, apparently. There's 2 questions what you've been asked, so it'd probably be best to go through them first. So Craig Whitney asked, when was the first time and how old were you when you met your spirit guide?
My spirit guide, I didn't connect to him, Craig, until let me see. My daughter was born 97, so shortly after 97, although I was aware of spirit, I was connected to spirit. I had no protection whatsoever. I had no firewall around with me. And for my early days of spirit and being aware, I chose not to connect it, or I think my protection came from a higher force. And the thing is, whether you're connected to your spirit guide or not, Craig, your spirit guide is around you 24/7 from birth until death, right? And death isn't the end of everything. We move on to do better things. But what you'll always hear said, and just to let you know, Shane, Craig goes to the same spiritual church which I go to as well, and he'll have heard this a million times. Spirit is always aware of your needs. If it's not there influencing you, then it's guiding you. If it's not there guiding you, then it's healing you. It's always there surrounding you, whether it's your immediate guide or the people within the circle of your guides who are there to protect you. So although I had no connection, going back to how early it was, although I didn't have any connection in my first 20 odd years of my life, I now know, fortunately, that I was always protected. But on the same note, I wasn't as developed then and knowledgeable with regards to spirit as I am now. So really, it's like driving around without your seatbelt on, not knowing what the consequences could be. And then when you put your seatbelt on, you're protected anyway. I didn't know the initial consequences of what could have happened because I was too immature in my level of mediumship back then, if that makes sense. And I was a young lad, and there was a lot more things to be doing with my body than giving it to spirit. But that's another story.
Yeah. And just to back Neil up on that one as well, I've not connected to any spirit guide. I don't know if I ever will, but I still actively speak to him or her. I've been advised that it's possibly a native Indian by another medium, Michelle Lee, who's very talented as well from Paranormal Encounters UK, called Roaming Bear. So it's not something I've personally experienced, but all I basically do whenever I'm going, I will open myself up and close myself down at the end, and I will ask for my spirit guide to protect me or to get me a peaceful night's sleep if it weren't for this coughing and things. So just because you can't actually hear them talking back, they still are listening. I
But
know that.
asking for a peaceful night's sleep does not mean that your partner will not snore that night.
No,
So
no.
you have to be more specific. But the thing is, like Shane's saying there, whether you're connected to your guard or not, there's nothing stopping you asking for the higher side of life for protection. Speak to Archangel Michael. Speak to your spirit guide. Who is he? You don't know. It doesn't matter. He's listening. Speak to your loved ones in spirit. Your mums, your dads, your aunties, your uncles, your nanas, your granddads, and your immediate people who passed to spirit. Speak to them. Send out that love to them. Ask the listen, whether you're speaking in your head or speaking out loud, they can hear you. They know your thoughts, right? So send them thoughts out and ask for that protection. It doesn't have to be worded in any other way that you just want protection. You want to be protected by the light, the love from your spirit ones, and they'll answer your questions as well. Also ask for signs as well, right? Because a lot of people say, how do I know someone's around me? How do I know my mum, my dad, my uncle, my auntie around me? Well, ask for that sign, and then it's your interpretation of that sign. My dad raised pigeons all his life. He raised pigeons all his life. When he first passed in the other house I was living at, a pigeon kept landing on my lawn all day long. Now, I know it wasn't my father in reincarnation, but I took that as a sign, as my dad saying, "Look, I'm still around. I'm here with you, son. I might not just be by your side in the physical world, but I'm just letting you know, and this is my sign." A lot of people get other signs as well. Nature, butterflies, feathers, things like that, things which are unique to that person who's gone in spirit. I remember speaking to someone not so long back with regards to with a reading, should I say, and I was made aware of this one flower, and if I'm right in saying it was a daffodil growing at the end of the garden, and the symbolically showed me this daffodil, and I asked the person what was the connection with the daffodil, and it was the person's favourite flower. They couldn't grow flowers to save their life, but this one daffodil kept appearing in the garden. and it was if though it was out of season as well, like they normally come around Easter, but this thing seemed to be there forever. That she took that as a sign. The spirit made me aware it was there. I passed it on to the person I was speaking to, and they accepted that as a sign from the loved one. So ask and look for them signs as well.
Yeah, definitely. Before we move on to the famous painting,
Dun, dun,
yeah,
dun.
sorry about. I'm guessing there was some sort of problem with music. Apparently, I don't know if it's when I put your trailer on because I couldn't hear anything from my laptop, but I'm guessing it was deafening or something because somebody's put turn the music down. So,
Turn the music down.
sorry, but Sarah Alexander. I'm not sure if she's a relation to Andrew Alexander or not. However, it's just a
No,
coincidence.
she's I think she's a follower of mine and GSI's as well. I speak to you quite. She's if it's the person I'm thinking of, she's from Southampton, and she said we can all go down there and do a ghost, and she'll put us up for the week and give us egg and bacon butties all week long. She said, yeah,
Yeah,
it's the same person,
yeah.
dark hair, long, very pretty. Go on.
Yeah, she's got dark hair. I can see a small picture. So, hi, Chris Summerfield. By the way, he's been very busy tonight making GSI's own version of a sort of a REM pod. Basically, he's almost there now. So we might have it Saturday. I don't know. But Sarah's basically asked, "Hi Neil, do you believe that the soul can leave the body before they pass over? I've had two experiences. One, my nan was dying from cancer, and my lights would flash on and off before she passed. The second, I had a heavy, large vase that fell over and broke, and the next morning I had a phone call to say that my beautiful son was on life support machine and he fought for 5 months before he passed." Oh, I'm really sorry, Sarah, by the way. But I don't know if you got all that, Neil. But
Yes, I did. I've been speaking with Sarah, and I give her some of my thoughts on what she asked. Not in depth as what she's just said now, but my last post on my wall, Sarah. Why do our deceased loved ones visit us in dreams? That basically answers your question. Some people call it astral travel, and some people call it out of body experiences. And this is where your soul will leave the body to go and do something else in another location. Me personally hasn't had this experience myself, but I know a brother-in-law of mine, as his wife was dying, my mum had actually did something similar to this, astral travel to their location, and showed herself as being there. Yes, I genuinely believe we can do that. Our soul can leave the body. It can go and deal with things which it needs to be dealt with prior to the transition of death, or it can actually do it. Whether we're suffering from trauma, you hear about this in the operating theatre. Um, I read an article the other day, or it may be the other month, that doctors in a certain hospital had put small fine print writing right up on the ceiling tiles in an operating theatre, and they're waiting for people who are having this out of the body experience, the near death experience, to come back and then read all these words off, because they're always up on the ceiling looking down at what's going on, type of thing. So that would be interesting if that comes to light as well. But yes, astral travel, it's something we can do in the right sleep state, in the right hypnotic state, in the right meditation state. We can send our physical mind and soul to another location. There's a person who I'm assuming is listening now, because she was online a minute ago. She's called Vicky Richards. She lives in Cyprus. When we first made contact as friends, she was having some troubles, and I asked if I could astral travel to her location and do some remote viewing in order to assist with the things which were going bang in the night. Hopefully she might come on and comment with regards to this, but not too in depth. But yes, it is possible, sir. Quite possible it is. And sometimes people do it and they don't even know they've done it as well. And it isn't until that deja vu experience later on them thinking, that rings a bell, I've been there, but I haven't. So yeah, you'll link them together. Are you okay, Shane?
yeah, I didn't want to start coughing because the mic's really sensitive, so I tried to go into the kitchen.
Yeah,
But
that's okay.
yeah, sorry
No
about that.
worries.
Chris says we've got synchronised coughing. I think he's actually poorly as well. And we're
You
going
will
to be
have
seeing
given
Chris.
that, James.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing Chris on
Saturday.
Saturday, and also he's she's going to kill me, but I always call her the wrong name deliberately to wind her up, but this time I'll just say, yeah, we can't say Becky. So we won't say Becky, we'll say Bex, sorry. And Chris's significant other, as Dale Boy always says from Only Fools and Horses, Rebecca says, there's a place over in Sweden, I think, where they make you dead for 15 minutes and they ask you after that what you experienced, and they got quite a lot of stuff from it.
It may actually be
That's
that
weird.
same location where I've read that article. That may be the same one with regards to that comment. And I think it was somewhere around there anyway.
Yeah, it's in the European area somewhere.
Yeah.
I think it's not just one hospital. There's a few, and what they've done it in a position where you can only do it if you are basically
out of the body experience.
Yeah. So it is definitely true. I've read about that quite a while ago
Right,
as well.
talking about out of the body experiences, guys. The Anguish Man. Who has heard of the Anguish Man? The Anguish Man was a portrait which is said to be painted in a person's own DNA. DNA being that before this gentleman took his own life, committed suicide, he cut himself, and with his blood and the paint, he then painted what's the word? A portrait of himself, his take on himself, and showing himself as the Anguish Man. This picture, this portrait, is well documented. The US TV world has covered lots of stories on this, on that fake or true. I forget how it's named, the channel. It's quite popular on YouTube if you type in Anguish Man. There's a lot of videos on there. The original owner, who's called Sean, I forget his surname now, he's documented it a few times and set up some video feeds and recorded it over the night. But over the years, I've had the pleasure of working with this portrait. Even our good friend Lee Steers just worked with it now. And they say there's a spirit attached with this portrait, and he's known to be called David, right? David is linked to the Kolditz, the war where all the Jews were killed. They were gassed, and we believe the connection with David and the portrait goes back to the Holocaust side of things in the Second World War. Now, a good medium friend of mine, John Blackburn, was working with this picture for some years now, and this is where I was first introduced with David. Myself and Vicky, my partner, went to the Old Nick Theatre in Gainsford, and we were working with this portrait. Vicky was locked in a cell with it, in an old police cell, and had some amazing experiences. And then when we took it up to the theatre part of this location, I start working with it by myself. I asked for certain things to happen, certain things to be done, for David to show himself in some form, which he's been known to do, and there's YouTube footage of that. And Vicky was sat in a row of seats which were similar to what you would get in a cinema, in a like Cineworld. All the seats were in tiers, and in order to sit on them, you had to fold the seat down and plonk your rear onto them. Now, in a way, I actually tormented this gentleman. It was my first experience with him, and I was wrong to do so, but I kind of taunted him a little bit, and I asked for an audible sign for him to show me that he was acknowledging me. And in this cinema-like theatre which we were in, there was an almighty bang which just seemed to come from everywhere in the room. And before I could turn to absorb the sound and where it come from, Vicky had travelled probably 300 feet across this room and was stood at my side, panting away, looking like a lost puppy dog, and trembling like a cat with constipation. But and she said the only thing I can tell you, Neil, is that the seats either side of me in the auditorium, in the seating area, sorry, they all just slammed down very loud. There was no explanation for it. These were rusted seats in an old theatre. It took some energy to move and physically as a human, but the seat, either side of her, in this seating area, all slammed down together. Now, this has also been documented on the Most Haunted programme when they did the exact same location, and you can find this on YouTube through Most Haunted, the Old Nick Theatre in Gainsford. They did feature an episode there, and they had a very similar experience, if not the same there. But that was with Spirit, not with the Anguish Man and David. Now, we took David along to the Drakelow Tunnels, and if anyone's familiar with the Drakelow Tunnels, it's the old nuclear bunker which was put into place in order for a Cold War taking place, which never happened. And it's 3 miles of network tunnels which are built underground in Kidderminster. We set David up there on a easel, and we were asking to work with David. If you pop along to the Mysteria website or the Enigma experiment, there's a lot on David. John Blackburn is still working with David, and obviously he's actually writing a book with regards to this. If I'm right, and forgive me if you're listening, John, I think it may be called Lifting the Veil. I might be wrong, I'm not sure, but he can surely put his comments in our chat and correct us. But David and does work with mediums. There was an incident in Chillingham Castle in Northumberland where, as the easel was stood in the middle of the seance, the easel started to move on command. It started rocking on all 3 legs, back and forth, back and forth. The people within the group actually saw a dark mass walking around the actual easel as the easel was rocking from side to side. And my good friend John Blackburn will also confirm this. But we have a little short video here. It's edited down to just under 2 minutes, and it's me working with David 3 mile underground in the Drakelow Tunnels.
Hopefully the sound will come through. Let's see what happens. Sorry if it's too loud, guys.
Were you misunderstood? Were you tortured? Come on, David, give us a sign. Move the picture. Move it side to side. Why did they call you the Anguish Man, David? Show us some form of light anomaly around the picture. Maybe a streak of light coming from either side, like you previously done. Oh, yes. Thank you. Do that again for the camera, please, David.
Right, so the sound did come through. If you wonder what I was doing, I had my phone on very quiet, and just so I could actually see if you could hear Neil talking to it. And basically, it's about this sort of time period. If I play it back onwards, he literally does ask, "Can you make some sort of light anomaly happen?" And as you saw, practically immediately. It's pretty mind-blowing, really. Are you still there? Have you got your sound?
Yeah, I'm still listening. There's a difference between orbs and bugs and insects and stuff like that. Insects don't fly in linear lines. They don't shoot at that speed, especially 3 mile underground where the place has never seen the living daylight. But David does work on command. I asked for him to show himself or show some sign of energy around the picture as a light anomaly, and at that, from somewhere near the centre of the picture, a large line, like a bullet-like light, shoots out of the picture, leaving a trail, and then obviously disappears to the right of the picture. What I would call a linear line, a spirit energy.
Yeah, I've been replaying it without the sound on numerous times just to show. You can clearly see when it just exits straight out of the picture. I'm just trying to get the exact moment. There you go. So it's just yeah. Like you say, you can tell when it's an insect or dust, and that and the fact that it does it immediately straight out of the picture. Is it? Did they say it was actually done with the person who committed suicide's blood? Is that? I don't know if you've already covered that when they were coughing, but
We don't know if David is the original artist who painted the picture, or is if David is the spirit attached to this picture. Now, it could well be that the person who painted the picture, his spirit guide, was David. I'm not quite sure. The best person to answer these questions would be John Blackburn, who's part of Mysteria, and he has his own webpage, and he covers all of the story of David. And he's been working with David for some years now. But I am aware that I don't know if it's a Japanese TV company or Korean TV company have just taken David away for a short period of time because they're making either a short film on him or a documentary on him, and that actual footage there, which you've just seen, is actually part of the movie. So you've actually seen it ahead of this release of that movie. That's my footage, which was submitted to the short film, the movie.
yeah.
And talking about tunnels, this Saturday we are going to the Cleveland Ironstone mine in Skinning Grove, which is East Cleveland, the northeast of England. It's £22 per person. That is a reduced price. We're almost sold out. So if you want to come along to this and you're within an area, a catchment area, which it's not going to be too much trouble, it's going to start at 9 p.m. at night. So get there for about 8:30, 9:15. We'll do the introduction, we'll do the pleasantries, we'll do the health and safety, and then the night of mediumship and paranormal will start at 9 o'clock. And we're looking to work through till about 2 in the morning or until the poltergeist kicks us out, whichever comes first. It has spirit activity, it has poltergeist activity, bit of a mouthful. This is the original working mine, which mined ore from the Cleveland Hills and the outskirts of the Cleveland Hills, and then manufactured this iron, which went everywhere around the world. It's been closed a very long time. There's only part of it left. For health and safety, we can only go in certain areas, but these are areas which has reported poltergeist activity and paranormal activity in. I've been once before, and me and GSI Northeast experienced something in there which alarmed our quieter investigator, Jan. If you're listening, Jan, she is the most placid person who couldn't pull the wings off a blue bottle. Well, she was animated that night with the presence of spirit, but she'll tell you that story when you come on the night. And it's like I say, it's a Saturday. It's a price of a takeaway. Get yourself out. There's nothing on TV. You can pre-record the X Factor. It's crap anyway. It's fixed. So yeah, come along, and I'm sure Simon Cowell won't mind.
No, definitely not. He's got enough money. Yeah, I'll just play the advert for it now. And maybe I won't because I've actually moved the location.
And it's just said canopy on there.
Yeah, did I notice that? Yeah, the advert won't play.
Talking about you.
Yeah, yeah, because it's linked to the location where it was on my desktop, and because I moved that to clear up all the clutter. So never mind. I don't know if the social media one will either, but that's basically it. You've covered that. I don't want to speak for too long because my throat is killing.
So. It'll affect your singing in the bath. Right, guys, this live feed will get shared later on in the week. If you don't comment now, then feel free to comment later. If you're listening to this now and it's previously been aired, then you can still comment. We will still look to answer your questions. Whether we cover something you want to answer in the topic or you just want to ask any question anyway, then please do so. We'll do our utmost best to answer that. We're on GSI West Yorkshire. We have our webpage, all the W's, gsiwestyorks.co.uk. There's 2 pages on here which are amalgamated. You've got GSI North East, GSI West Yorkshire. what gets shared on one goes on the other, and what gets shared on the other goes on this one. And then you've got my good self, Spirit Medium Neil Cook, on my normal page, and then there's a fan page now. It's just so I can upload more of your good selves to a bigger place, and Facebook doesn't try and whittle everything out. That's the only reason it's gone to a public figure page. That's why. But yeah, like, subscribe. We're on Twitter, Instagram. Send us some paranormal pictures, anything.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, and also if you want us to actually come to your home to actually do an investigation, we won't, obviously. If you want us to, we probably would do, depending on what we got, but it would be confidential, and because obviously it's, most of the time it can be quite personal if it's loved ones and things like that what's involved, or so it would be done professionally. So.
Yes, and one last thing before we go, guys. We're sitting on a little piece of footage back here, and we can't tell you what it's about. But this footage, which we've caught in a very haunted location near us, is well worth waiting for. As of yet, until we get it right, until we speak to the right media sources on releasing this footage and get everything in place to make sure it gets its coverage it warrants, it needs, then if you just keep watching our pages, it's coming very, very shortly, and you're going to see the first early stages of manifestation of spirit. And then when we cut it down frame by frame, you will actually see the people we're talking about. But it's the best of the best captures. You see a lot out there in the papers, on the breaking news, T-SAD, and all the other mediation programs which are crawling across social media. But this is one of the best of the best. We're not talking overexposed barman stood picking his nose. We're talking spirit physically moving in a location. But keep watching out for that, because this is exciting as it is. We're really excited about it. And guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm looking up at the performance page there. We've had some good interaction. A lot of people, if we haven't shouted your name out, we'll go along and like them afterwards with respect. There's that many people to be shouting. I'm just so sorry I've missed yous. I've got kind of brain freeze with trying to remember who's who. But love and light to all of yous. Shane?
Yeah. That's basically it. Thank you very much for watching. And yes, sorry we're teasing you, Becky. Maybe because I might show you, because it is on my phone. It's one of these things that I wasn't really paying attention while I were actually reviewing this footage. And then for some reason I just started watching, because I knew we were changing location, and the reason we were changing location to downstairs, because we were in, basically, am I allowed to go into too much of the location or not? But it's basically a very old building which is still used as this hotel rooms upstairs, bar area downstairs, and we were basically told weird things were happening downstairs. No one was there. We went down, and because I knew this was happening, that's when I started really paying attention to the laptop, watching it. And if I hadn't, we maybe might have even never seen this footage. It could have just been deleted, because obviously
at a blink of an eye you could have missed it. Yeah.
So we were incredibly lucky, and we really cannot wait to show you
some very good, compelling footage, as Zach Bagans would say. Yeah, you'll be impressed with it.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, guys, we bid you good night. Sorry for Shane's cough, and sorry for my droning on, because I talk for England. I don't think I've added any jokes tonight, so we'll leave it at that. I normally slide something in there, but I've been a good boy tonight. Any comments, leave them on our walls, in our inboxes. We'll answer them the best we can. Special thanks to the people behind the scenes answering and liking your notifications. Vicky Hardy, Jan Leonard, and Andrew Alexandra. They're just off camera at the moment. We did a vote, and I think out of all of us, me and Shane are the best looking, rugged kind of mustic characters for this. I think the girls would just attract the wrong audience. If I'm saying that, I can hear things getting thrown at this wall now. So
yeah. And Andrew won't be very pleased with that, because he's known as Handsome Andrew, and he's
fan club.
he's getting
He'll have his
quite a
own
few people
personal
commenting.
page soon, won't he?
Yeah, he's got quite a few fans, so to speak.
Yeah.
What we've been told about. Oh, I really like his accent. I really like his smile and all this.
Yeah.
Is come on, get a grip. Right. Yeah. Thank you.
We'll absorb all the compliments you want to send. Just answers on a postcard and send them. Yeah, if you want to give us some compliments, please do, and we'll send the same back in return. Yeah, bit of smut. Anyway, guys, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. I hope we haven't gone on too long. I think we've hit the hours mark anyway. We're probably going to get kicked off anyway. Appreciate your comments. We appreciate you joining us. Please share because it'll hit a bigger audience, and then we'll get some more questions and answers as well. And leave some comments on the bottom what you might want us to cover next time, because we someone's shouting in the background. But yeah, if there's any topics you want us to cover, then put them in the comments now, and we'll look at covering them this time next week.
Or if anyone has got some major personal experiences they actually want to join us on screen and talk about.
Yes, we can pop you in that corner of the screen over there underneath Shane's chin. I'll sit this side. We'll look like the Brady Bunch all on the screen. We will. Yeah,
Definitely.
And
Look,
Shane the
I can
daddy.
move. I can move Neil about. Is magically moving all over the shop. So I have got the capabilities of adding anyone in. I've actually been trying to get someone like Bill Chappell, but it does say he specifically will never do a blog or a podcast. So unfortunately, we need to be Ghost Adventures to be able to get him. So I'm sorry, guys.
Soon.
Yeah.
It's on our bucket list.
Yeah.
When we meet him. Right, guys. Thank you for joining us. We're going to get going now.
Yep.
Really appreciate your interaction with us, and I hope we've been somewhat entertaining for yourselves tonight and answered all your questions. Like I say, any more comments, we'll answer them if we can. Any more ideas for next week's live talk, then we'll do that as well. And we bid you all good night. And if you're somewhere else in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good day. Now I sound like Jim Carrey now, isn't he? What's he called? The Truman Show.
Yeah.
Morning, good night, good evening. Right. See you later, guys. Take care now.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.